in Mahikeng. There's no house to sell or market. It's government houses. And one of the reasons why it does not get revenues because these people who are employed who are here, there's Messi Mashwe in social development. We pay them very well as chief directors and head of departments. Because of that problem of land being either rural and tribal owned and town, they just take the strip where the land is tribal owned, just 500 meters away from the municipal land, and build mansions. They will not be paying rates and taxes because they are in the tribal land. So it's Mahikeng, it's Umtata, it's Butterworth in South Africa, where we need, when we go to a conference of the ANC, to say they should be taxed for exposure to development. Yes. You can't be 500 meters away and you are not taxed. The person 500 meters away from you is taxed. That's how they run away from paying taxes. Thank you very much. Welcome. That's why he came. Northwest is one of the 9 provinces in the country. In fact, it's one of the rural provinces, but also one of mineral-rich provinces. The irony, you can go to school and everywhere. The irony is there has always been an unjust element on development whenever there's mining. Many areas that are rich in mineral deposits are backward in development. Many. And many areas that are rich in mineral deposits are poor. There's an element called resource curse. The argument there, whether you should mine or leave the resource on the ground. Because having mined, you have more problems that are creating for society than leaving it on the ground. But leaving it on the ground, you have no money to develop your own people. That's Northwest. Very rich in mineral deposits. If you go to the City Group report, around 2012, City Group, when City Group said 70% of the platinum reserves, not mined, platinum reserves in the world are in South Africa. 45% of the 70% is in Northwest. So as you combine that element of economic development, we must keep this in mind, finding solutions to areas where we can't unlock development, but there's potential. Now, we don't have a premier of a poor province. The only president who was referred to be the president of the poor country, in fact, was referred to be a poor president, was President Mujita. He was referred to the poor president. We don't have that. We have a premier of Northwest. It's called Platinum Province. That's what it's called. And of course, development has its challenges. The premier is Kaubitsa. Kaubitsa, I'm calling you. Kaubitsa, I'm calling you. So it's those people that have been called by others and later called to lead us. So ki Kaubitsa. Bushi Maape. One of those premiers that with deployment, it's not only political. He has been very focused on administration and of course, a very seasoned political educator of the liberation movement. In one time, he preferred remaining in the political education of the liberation movement. But remember, development has its own needs, where some priorities must be done. You can't say, I'm staying here and I'm not going anywhere. So the Premier, Red Bushi, Rekaubitsa Bushi Mape, is going to deliver a word of welcome to the ambassador. Myself and Mr. Spera are the horses' mouths. So the horses are both here. You'll hear from the horses themselves. We call the first horse the Premier of Northwest, who I have been his mouth. You were not aware that I was speaking for him. He's here today. Thank you very much. Let's welcome the Premier.
Thank you, my colleague, MEC Sambata, for your kind words, calling me a horse. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Ambassador Ruben Brigitte, the CG, Mr. Spera, my MEC. I don't know whether other MECs have arrived already. I can't see them, the HODs. HOD for Education, Social Development, HOD for Health is here, the tall man, the delegates from PEPFAR, and the delegates from the other, what do you call it, Institute, MEC, Oram Institute. You are all welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It really gives me a great honor to welcome you here and to welcome the delegation from the US. We were just having a conversation with His Excellency, the Ambassador. He really has a checkered history. He really has a very impressive profile. I thought that I'll be meeting an oldish person when I read about his achievements, that he's from academia, universities, teaching there. He was once a mayor. He was, attached to the UN and to ECA. And he was undersecretary for 2 areas. Is it population and what is the other one, Spera? Southern Africa. So quite impressive record. And I said, yes, the US, the US is where our leaders got this idea of establishing the ANC. I'm sure we all know that Uma studied at Minnesota, and Matthews, Z.K. Matthews, was at Yale, and he was even a visiting professor there at Yale. And most of them studied in the US. And when they returned to South Africa, now around 1911 and so on, they got ideas there. I'm sure they got ideas from people like Du Bois and others, and they came here and they said, we must have our own organization here in South Africa. And even the idea of, now I see I'm departing from my prepared speech, even the idea of the Freedom Charter, Professor Z.K. Matthews was in the US, and the Atlantic Charter was debated, and he came back to South Africa. And in a conference, I think it was in Queenstown, and then he proposed that we must have the Freedom Charter. So there has been this dynamic relationship between the US and South Africa. But let me return to my, to my speech now. Your visit here, Your Excellency Ambassador, is intended to strengthen the good relations we have that exist between ourselves as South Africa and the USA, and also as this province. This, your visit here, comes immediately after the visit of our president to the US, where our president met your president, and they talked about the same thing, deepening and strengthening our relationships. And I take this opportunity, of course, to congratulate you on your appointment. And I'm still a student of economics. I was impressed by the kind of economists who were attached at ECA. And I see you worked there. Some of them, like Professor Benon Dulu and so on, are people I admire very much. You have already come a long way with our continent, and we are confident that your posting to the Republic will go a long way towards building mutually beneficial relations between our two countries. And I'm also aware that the CG, Vincent Sparrow, whom I met at the function, the inauguration of the Vice Chancellor at the University of the Northwest, and we had a discussion. And I didn't really predict, I didn't have the anticipation that we'll be meeting very soon. And we talked there about the need to work together, the need to collaborate and to cooperate. But I'm happy that today you are here and you are giving flesh and blood to the discussion we had at Potchefstroom. We appreciate the support that is being given to us, particularly in terms of HIV and AIDS and TB monitoring through the PEPSA program. We need to recognize that COVID-19 somehow overshadowed these challenges of HIV and AIDS. And we need to refocus, to place intense attention on the problem of HIV and AIDS again. And I trust that you had a productive visit today. I understand you visited a few projects here and there, and I hope that they'll inspire you to do more for us. As you know, overseas development donor funding also has a limit, but our needs are numerous, and we hope that you will use the opportunity of your visit to identify other areas of intervention where we can collaborate. As with many countries, we are dealing with the scourge of gender-based violence in our country, and we recognize that this requires an effort not only to support the girl child in our society, but to deal with the socialization of boys from an early age. We have made some progress over recent years in dealing with this issue, particularly the issue of patriarchy, but we still have a long way to go. Patriarchy, particularly the negative elements of patriarchy, is a serious problem in our country and in the province. The issue of gender-based violence is something that we really want to give attention to. We are saddened every day when we get reports of women being abused, sometimes being killed. And it is said that sometimes when they are killed in a very brutal way. So that when you look at the person killed, the stab wounds, genitals, cut out, you get a sense that this is a work of a monster. The person that did this type of thing really needs help, because no normal human being can engage in that type of violence and cruelty. But we hope that with our relationship, you will look at this aspect. I'm sure you are putting a lot on your plate, CG, but I'm sure you look at this and say, yes, let me see what we can do. We are happy because you are also involved in the SEZ in Bujanala. The SEZ has been moving, at a snail's pace, and that worries me too much. And we want just to give it some impetus so that it must gain momentum. And we hope that your involvement with the feasibility study will greatly contribute towards that. As you know, economic growth is a serious problem. I read the report. I'm sure His Excellency is aware of the report, OECD, that says that South Africa this year will be growing at a rate of 1.8, and that 1.8 does nothing to per capita income. In fact, it becomes negative. And next year it will be growing at 1.3, paltry growth. And so we need some intervention like the SEZ, to see how we can contribute to this change in this picture of very pedestrian growth rate. We encouraged, particularly looking at beneficiation of platinum, that some mining companies like the Pilanesberg Platinum Mine is introducing a new technology to do smeltering. And this technology will be done on site, which is called the CAL process. I think the technology comes from the US, the CAL process. Instead of using intense heat, they use very low temperatures. So they won't use coal anymore to do smeltering. It's a new technology, and in that project, they are going to invest something like 2 billion, and we appreciate that. And we hope that other mines will also adopt the same technology, create more jobs there around Mokwase. In fact, this mine is intends expanding, and they indicated to us that they wish to invest about 7 billion in new mining operations. And if that happens, you know, they'll be employing more than 3,000 new employees. And we want this SEZ to contribute towards that, to find more opportunities for beneficiation. In fact, my dream is that even here in Zeerust, there's the mining operations there. We don't want to destroy jobs in Gauteng. As you know, in Gauteng, in Johannesburg, that's where you get most of the smelters. But unfortunately, those smelters have aged. And unfortunately, those smelters use old technology. So we need to build new smelters. So we're thinking that we should build these new smelters here in Zeerust. As we do the mining there, then we build a smelter there, a new smelter, and we create more jobs. And we can look at downstream, you know, more downstream beneficiation than focusing only on smeltering. But let me leave the economic talk to Eka. We want to say that we want this relationship to grow. And by saying that it should grow, we should have an engagement, as MEC Sambate is suggesting, to identify other areas of collaboration. And we think we should think more of, even from our side, what is it that we can export to the US? You know, you shouldn't just think of being recipients of, benefiting from the kindness of the US, but what is it we can exporting? I mean, I was yesterday watching the Ndlovu Choir, and if you know the history of the Ndlovu Choir, it's just like UB40. We know about UB40. UB40 was started by people who met at the unemployment bureau. They were all unemployed, and they were there to come and collect whatever stipend, whatever money they were supposed to be provided with by this unemployment bureau. And as they were sitting there, they said, let's do something. And they started this band called UB40. Today, they are very wealthy. They are known all over the world. I mean, their music is old, but it's not aging. It's just mellowing with time. And this Ndlovu Choir here in South Africa, young people who also were in a similar situation, unemployed, they came together, they formed. I'm sure you must be supporting them, Spera. Are you not involved with them? Ndlovu Choir. I am going to give you a list of similar choirs from the Northwest. I support them, and you arrange that they should go to the US, and we do this cultural exchange. Yeah. But Ndlovu Choir today, they travel all over Europe. They are back here in South Africa. They'll be performing in Cape Town, Johannesburg, Durban. And the tickets are sold out. Young, very young people. Yeah. I think you must take the ambassador before he settles down, before he settles down to go and attend one of the concerts. Yeah. But I want to conclude by saying that we in the Northwest will always be ready to receive you. And we hope that this is a visit initiated by the fact that you want to be introduced to us and we want to be introduced to you. But I think we should have regular interaction. Even when we have some other activities in the province, we should invite you. You should come and be part of us. Because as I look at you, you are part of a diaspora, and so you belong here actually. This is your home. But we want to say we are a friendly people, hospitable people, and you'll always be welcome here if you go. Yesterday I was at Sun City. I know that, and I was saying that people there, I told them, Atlantis, Atlantis in the Bahamas, Atlantis will never match Sun City. You must not waste your money and fly from here and say you want to go on holiday in the Bahamas. You leave Sun City here. You know the problem, what the problem is. Saul Kessner created this Sun City, original idea. And then he wanted to create Atlantis. And what was Atlantis? An imitation of Sun City. That's it. And so Atlantis will never be, Bahamas will never match Sun City. So bring your friends and your family to Sun City, particularly now. Many, many offerings at Sun City. But you are most welcome. We will have more interaction with you in Pretoria. Most welcome, and I'm pleased, Mr. Sparrow, we are meeting here again. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Honorable Premier. Okay, general aside, the Northwest Province, it's one of the beneficiaries of the US donor funding, of course, through many agencies, and those agencies do appoint entities to deliver on their behalf. If we were to close our eyes, 1990 strategy, South Africa-wise, would have collapsed only with us alone because of the competing priorities and needs. And that strategy being funded through donor funding is a direct mechanism to have South Africans and their families having been managed and treated whenever they have a problem that has to do with HIV and AIDS, wherever they have a problem that has to do with TB. And if we check, it's not the problem of the US people. It's the problem of ourselves that in 2022, the country still has a problem with new HIV and AIDS infections. That includes our province. That includes our province. So it's an issue of contesting attitudes. Awareness is there, treatment is there. We do have enough support on treatment. The problem is we have a growing number of potential patients because our people are risky. You would have seen that through COVID. The only time they believed that a mask must be put in was when they see a soldier. But if there's no police officer, they will not put a mask. So in that program, we're doing well, of course, because of the partners. One of the reasons why we don't have much crisis, it's because around that one, you can decide who you do allocations, independent of us. But the only thing that you must keep knowing about them is that give them each time a mining province, because they are originally an NGO formed out of the mining industry's strategy to fight TB. Nobody can beat them on records on both TB and HIV and AIDS, especially where there's gap. Remember, in government we have a gap. What we report on our statistics excludes mining industry. So there's still a gap which SANAC is working to close up. When we say we are at 85, that 85 does not include statistics recognized by mines. So as your presence, when CG says come and speak, stand tall and be proud of your country's intervention, at least on this program. It's one program that we know that health especially, it's one of the services that is non-class antagonistic and sees no race. We only know patients. We don't know color of patients. We don't know gender of patients. No patients, all what we talk about is patients. So even when you leave, know that one of our proud celebrations is this program. Let me tell you, when elections time comes, I'm going to take the statistics from them here. I'm going to tell people, we are going to give you ARVs free. That's what I'm going to tell them. And I'll tell them we have performed. This is what we've done. I won't tell them that you contributed. Well, it's a country to country. We delivered to our people. Thank you very much, colleagues. Let me now call CG, one gentleman who had refused to be office bound and had said that I am going to move to all these provinces that are under my responsibility. Of course, you know, Mos, word outside there appears like it's very difficult to work with US government. But when you work with people of the stature of the ones that are here, they become ambassadors of how it's easy to work with US-based individuals. And for as long you are prepared to argue your point, you are prepared to listen, and you are prepared to get improved. Each time they come to us, when they say this is wrong, we don't argue. We tell them, the next week you come, we will have fixed it. And we do fix them. So let me welcome you, CG Spera, to come and do words of appreciation, and then you will introduce the person we are here for. Thank you very much.
Dumelang. Good evening, everyone. Honorable Premier, MEC, Program Director, Honorable Mayor, Ambassador Brigady, other colleagues and guests, all protocols observed. Thank you so much for welcoming us here. And I will be brief, but I do want to make a few comments. I see on the agenda that my item is called Word of Appreciation. And I do bring with me tremendous appreciation for the relationship here with Northwest. And I would like to express that appreciation in three topics. First, I want to express my tremendous appreciation, and in fact, our entire team's tremendous appreciation for the incredibly warm welcome we receive every time we step foot into this province. This is now my 5th time in Northwest, officially 5th time in Northwest. I've been to Mahikeng 3 times now, a few times in Rustenburg, as the Premier mentioned, recently in Potchefstroom, and there's nothing but kindness, consideration, compassion, and a willingness to work with the United States. And I know that extends beyond me. I know my colleagues from USAID and CDC, PEPFAR, the Department of State are all here, and we all feel the same way. This is a wonderful place to visit, it's a wonderful place to work, and that really stems directly from the true kindness of the people of this province. I've also been here in a personal capacity a few times. I've gone with the family to Hartbeespoort, not too far from Gauteng, but it is in Northwest. And in fact, my parents and my mother-in-law are visiting for Christmas this year, and the very first trip we're taking out of Johannesburg is to Northwest Province. We're going to take them to Madikwe. And I know taking them there, I'm bringing them there in full confidence that they're going to have that same experience of the wonderful nature of the people of Northwest. So a great appreciation for your kindness and hospitality. The second appreciation is for the depth of the commitment to our partnership. At our consulate in particular, we spend most of our time, most of our focus is on economic cooperation, trade promotion, and on health. The first time I came to Mahikeng in February, MEC Masanagi was the host of that visit. We had tremendous discussions about the economic potential of the province. We have strong relationship with the mining sector. We have close relationship with the many unions, the labor movement here in Northwest Province. And Premier, as you mentioned, we're very much committed to continuing this conversation around the SEZ in Bojanala. Our team at the consulate and the MEC's team have had conversations in that area about what can we do, not just to attract investment, but also to bring expertise on some of the technologies you referenced. But obviously, the health relationship really in Northwest really is unparalleled. That absolutely stems in large part from the leadership that the MEC has shown in committing to our shared goals, in committing to dialogue, in committing to reliance on data, and also committing all of his backing to our partners here. The health relationship also includes a significant number of activities with the Department of Social Development through the Orphans and Vulnerable Children program. We visited this at one of the sites we visited this afternoon, but of course through PEPFAR, with HIV prevention, with regular population, with key populations. We'll see some of those sites tomorrow. It's a tremendously important investment for us, but those investments would go nowhere without the partners. So thank you, Premier, thank you, MEC, and all of your teams. And the last appreciation I would like to give is to our ambassador, who arrived in South Africa just 2 months ago, not even 2 months ago. No stranger to the continent, as the Premier mentioned. Ambassador Brigidi was the Vice Chancellor at the University of the South. He was the Dean for International Relations at George Washington University, former ambassador to the African Union for the United States, 2-time Deputy Assistant Secretary, including for Southern Africa, and on top of all that is also a naval officer, former naval officer. And when he arrived, I'm sure he'll comment on some of this, we have our consulates in Johannesburg, in Durban, and Cape Town, but he said, I want to go to all the provinces. And I said, do I know a province for you, Ambassador Brigidi? And that's where we need to start. And so I really, Ambassador, I appreciate you taking our recommendation to make Northwest your first province to visit in a formal outreach visit, and I'm very delighted to pass the podium to you so you can speak to our audience tonight. Thank you very much. Ambassador Ruben Brigidi II.
Thank you very much. Honorable Premier, Honorable MEC, Honorable Mayor, my colleague, Consul General, and all protocols observed. It is my profound honor to be with you here this evening in Northwest Province. As the Consul General mentioned, I have been in South Africa just 8 weeks. And after we finished the really very busy initial visits of our Secretary of State and the visits of our respective presidents in Washington, and I could take a breath, I said, get me out of Pretoria. I'm determined to visit all 9 provinces in bespoke visits to each of those provinces before Christmas, and beginning that journey here in Northwest Province. Let me also say publicly to you, Premier Mape. It is my profound honor to be in your presence, a veteran of the struggle, a man who's personally given so much to bring freedom for South Africa. I'm honored to be here with you, sir. Thank you very much. Those of us who are committed to public service in whatever country, in South Africa or the United States or elsewhere, are constantly thinking, how do we improve the lives of our people? It is our raison d'etre. It is the very reason that we do what we do. Regardless of what the sector may be, whether it be in health or in economic growth or in defense, we are servants to the public. And in that focus, we are confronted with many challenges, constantly. Challenges of budget, challenges of political discord, challenges of capacity. But one of the things that I have learned in my time in public service is you can't simply focus on challenges. You have to focus on opportunity. On opportunities that are the other side of those challenges. Opportunities that will improve the lives not only of our people today, but for future generations. When I was ambassador to the African Union, my Chinese colleague said to me once, you know, we have a saying in China that we plant the trees, but others enjoy the shade, which I think is a very profound way of thinking about all of our collective work. And so this evening, we need not speak of the various challenges that are present here in Northwest. They're well known to all of us. But let us instead speak of opportunity and speak of future vision. The vision of an AIDS-free generation here in Northwest Province. The vision of a people where men and women live together in harmony, where we have a different dispensation for engagement between men and women that leaves behind many of the more challenging aspects of the past, but imagines what a prosperous future could be. Let us think about ways in which we bring to bear the power of our respective private sectors to create jobs where people can live in dignity, where they can provide for their families, and imagine and provide for a different future that imagines something completely different. I have a t-shirt that says, I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. And I bought one for every member of our family. And don't we want that for our children? Don't we want to be able for them to live the reality that we imagine for them, that our ancestors have imagined for them? And if we can all agree on all of that, then let's get to work. I will tell you, when President Ramaphosa met President Biden in the Oval Office just a couple of weeks ago, the level of camaraderie between these two men was extraordinary. It's the first time a South African president had been hosted in the Oval Office in 15 years. And I believe that in future decades, we will be able to put a pin in the calendar of that date, September 16th, 2022, as the start of a new era in the relationship between the United States of America and the Republic of South Africa. I believe in speaking the future into existence. Not simply in hoping that things will be different, but to saying that they will, and they're working to make it so. So let us take advantage of this time, of this moment, to strengthen the relationship between our two countries, to think about a new future for the people, for the young people here in Northwest, and let us do the work so that we can create an even brighter future for future generations. It's my honor to be here with you all this evening. Thank you very much, and I look forward to a long and fruitful partnership together. May God bless you all.
Thank you very much, leadership. Thank you very much, Ambassador. Thank you very much, CG. Thank you very much, Honorable Premier. Thank you very much, Mayor. On the program, it's written exchange of gifts. First, do you have the two of you, beautiful and capable women, these ones whose beauty is with content? Do you have any announcement before we do this one? Exchange of gifts? You are fine? Okay. Okay. Then who is leading the program of exchange of gifts? You can come. Exchange of gifts. I must get a gift. But it would not be part of the exchange. But someone must give me a gift secretly. Thank you very much. You can take over. We can join. Yeah. Mayor, we can join we are called entourage.